Alhamdulillah, we're over here in the best of nation, being amongst the best of people before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's not something small. This is the greatest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon us, and we have it. Aside from all the other little things that we have that don't mean much to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but make our life much easier to practice the deen. Now last time we talked about the focus of everyone, how we can focus on many different aspects of this world, and Islamically there's three different aspects that we could focus on: society itself, the family, and the self. And the key to fixing all of it obviously is to start at the self. If the self is correct, and every individual, the family corrects themselves, that family will be correct. If that family is correct, then it will produce blocks, which is the kids, the future generations, to help society to become correct. And ultimately, the families create a community, the communities create societies, and if every individual is trying their best to correct themselves, the majority of that society will be correct. So what we want to talk about today now is how to make ourselves correct, the path that we get on to make ourselves correct. Because it's very easy, and most people, everybody almost, they all want to do the correct thing. Even those people that have very bad deeds, ultimately they justify it with a just cause behind their deeds. In other words, they're trying to do what they believe is correct, but they're just following their own desires, and they went on the wrong path, and ultimately led to the wrong deeds. So before we can even look at that path and knowing that, okay, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to be consistent in it, we have to understand what that path is. And in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, in this hadith, some scholars say it's da'if, some say it's different narration, one says marfu', there's many different narrations for it. Where it talks about the Prophet ﷺ asking Harith radiallahu anhu, how did you get up this morning? And he said, I woke up as a true believer. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, that's a very big claim, but he said every single saying has proof. What's the proof of your saying, of this claim that you're making? So he said, some of the things he said, I've completely, I have no need for the worldly materialistic life of this world. Whether he has it or not, he has no need for it. I spend my nights awake worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I spend my days thirsty, obviously is fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's as if I can see the throne of my Lord Azza wa Jal. Obviously when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us that when you pray as if you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you do not, then know that He's watching you. In other words, we're praying as we're standing in front of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, it's as if I can see into the people of Jannah, and I can see them enjoying themselves and visiting one another in it. And as if I can see the people of the hellfire, I see them being punished within it. So after he said this, the Prophet ﷺ said, you have understood, you have come to see the truth. Now have the istiqamah. Now stay firm on this path. The hadith goes on, but this is where the lesson starts, where before now we can even say that, okay, I want that consistent path, let me be consistent in doing that as well. We have to look and see, wait, how did Harith get to this path? What did he do to get himself on the straight path where now he can see these things? Because obviously we try to do that, right? As soon as we say Allahu Akbar, we're trying to worship as if we're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you see our mind drifts off. When we read the ayats of the people of Al-Jannah, we should be having so much conviction that this ayah is true, because it should be even more proof than what we see ourselves. Right now we see the world and this dunya, what it has to offer, but a lot of it's just almost like a dream, because it's not really there. We can easily go to death and none of it will be there for us. So our eyes may deceive us, but the ayats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never deceive us. So we should have more conviction in the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than what our eyes can see. Doesn't mean that we just now throw away our eyesight and completely no. This is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it comes to making decisions, when it conflicts with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our desires, then at that time we should choose the deen and the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead of relying on what we think to be the truth. So all these things we want, but Harith didn't just take an easy path to just go there. There's a specific path where it's even mentioned in different ways in the Quran that shows us this path. And it's similar to the same way that shaitan takes us away from the path. The equation is the same thing. If somebody wants to go away from the path and start going astray, they don't jump from being righteous to just being the complete opposite. They slowly go down that path. And they slowly go further away. Even the person in the time of the Prophet ﷺ who became a munafiq, who became a hypocrite after telling the Prophet ﷺ that make dua for me, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes me rich. And this person was so poor that he only had one pair of thobe that he could use with his wife. He would go pray salah in the masjid, then he would quickly run home, give his clothes to his wife so that she can pray with dressed. And this person came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, make dua that I become rich. And after insisting 3 times, all the time the Prophet ﷺ told him, please just be consistent, be happy, be content with what you have. He kept asking for him, the Prophet ﷺ made dua for him, and he became rich, so rich that he slowly went further and further away from the masjid. And as he went further and further, he prayed less and less at the masjid, to the point where he was the Jumma. And to the point that he left that. And obviously, when it came time to give zakat for all what he has been blessed, he said he denied giving zakat. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those people that claim that, if I was rich, I would do this, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them with the blessing and gives them the ni'mah, they go against their word. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in their hearts is nothing but hypocrisy will come to grow. And that's what happened to that person. So we can take that same path, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sort of describes this path in the story of, at the end of the second juz of the Quran, where it talks about David and Goliath, Talut and Jalut. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a group of people of Bani Israel. And they say to them, they go up to the Prophet, this is after Musa alayhi salam, I believe the Prophet at the time was Yusha alayhi salam, who was a servant of Musa alayhi salam. So when they went up to him, they said, we want Allah to send us a king. We want someone that rules over us, and pretty much instead of being, whether they were at the desert at that time, walking around aimlessly for so many years, or before that there was Fir'aun, he was oppressing them. They want their own just king. Now, this is the first thing that we have to be careful about. When we ask for something, we have to understand there's a path that leads to that destination. We can't just ask for something and say, okay, now I'm just going to wait for it to happen. Even when it's a dua. If I say, Ya Allah, I want to be strong. I want to be strong, I want to do this, I want to be able to lift this much weight, I want to have this much body. And I just sit and wait for that to happen until I get on that path and walk it, to actually go and work out and get stronger. I will not achieve that. I will not reach my destination. And this is for the majority, the general cases. There are miracles that happen throughout time, but we can't expect every single person to have a miraculous life. The sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a certain path, and that sunnah does not change. The only time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes against that is to show a miracle by the hands of His Prophet ﷺ, to show that He's not restricted to this sunnah. He just simply made this the law of this world. So they asked for this path, and their prophet said to him, are you sure? Do you know what you're asking for? Maybe something's going to happen, a condition will come to say, okay, if you want that, you have to take this path. And a lot of you may not take that path. So their response is, how are we not going to take that path when we've been kicked out of our land? Our children have been kicked out of our land. We've been oppressed for so long. And this is one thing we have to be careful about. We cannot choose our path due to emotion, how we feel. I feel angry, I feel happy, I feel this. When we go with our emotions, we have to understand as human beings, we are instilled with both dualities, both types of emotions. If we're happy, there are times we're going to be sad. If we're really energetic one time, there are times where we're going to be lazy. So if we go off emotions, our deeds would just be as haphazard as our emotions are. Just as they go up and down, as our emotions go up and down, our deeds will be the same thing. When we do it correctly and walk on a straight path with faith, then regardless of what we feel during our emotions, regardless of what we feel during the situations that we're in, we're always going to be able to climb and get better and better every day. Our life never comes to a pause. And that's why there's so many different sunnahs in regards, like for example, times of sadness, where the Prophet ﷺ said you can only mourn over the dead for 3 days. Because yes, you are human, something like that will impact your life, but you shouldn't let it completely stop your life. You have to get up and keep going. And a believer, regardless of how close or how loved the person next to him is that passed away, they'll be able, their Iman will be able to push them and get them to muster up that strength to continue going on with their path and continuously getting better and elevating themselves before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day. So when the Prophet ﷺ said this to them, they said, no, we're going to, and they were acting off emotions. And what happened is, as soon as those emotions came, now when the Prophet ﷺ said, okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent you Talut as a king. Now when your heart's not into it, when it's based off emotions, or there's something else that's there, some other agenda, or some other reason, or some other cause, jealousy, hatred, whatever it may be, you right away want to reject. And that's what they said. What? Him? Talut? A king over us? And obviously in the Bani Israel, so many prophets came from families within Bani Israel that it almost came like an honor for the prophet to come out of their family. Or an honor for a king to come out of their family. So right away, that's why lineage is so important in the Jewish faith. So right away they did it. They said, we're richer than him, we're better than him. How is he going to be a king over us? This is not them logically coming with an objection to what the Prophet ﷺ said. Also, this is not something that somebody can argue as well. Technically, when the Prophet ﷺ, look at the adab of the Sahaba, the way the Prophet ﷺ raised them. Whenever he made a decision, a Sahaba, if he had a different opinion, he would say, was this wahi or was this your opinion? We talked about this last week. And if you would say, this is my opinion, then they would say, well, I have another opinion. If it's wahi, if it's revelation, they stay quiet. This is not the time for us to be like, well, I got a better idea, because now you're not arguing with the Prophet ﷺ, you're arguing with the wahi, the Quran. If everybody can come a little forward, there's a lot of space over there. We need to make space for brothers to come. So this is what they did. They said, when the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent you Talut as a king, there should be no, oh, I got another opinion, I know someone that's much better suited. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet ﷺ said it, and they should accept it. But like I said, if there's another reason within someone's heart to reject, they will find reason to reject. And the Prophet ﷺ told them that, listen, logically he's better than you in strength and body, he's better than you in knowledge. And they're just looking at it in status. Is he from the high family? Is he from a noble family? Does he have that much money? That's what they're looking at. Where even logically, Talut ﷺ proved to them that no, he's a better king than you guys. And not only that, he gave them something that could prove to them more on the basis of faith. And said, look, there's going to be an ayah that's going to come down to you. This sign should be proved to you that he's going to come with the sign. This should prove to you also that it's from the family of Musa, family of Harun, this tablet that shows that he is the right heir to be a king. So this is them finally saying, okay, you know what, he's a king. But now it shows why certain people jumped off that path. When Talut actually became a king. When Talut actually became a king, like I said, there were people that were against it to begin with. But because of all the signs, because of all the proof, they had nothing to say, they had to follow along with it. So then Talut, he's still going on that path, because with a king, you need a kingdom. So now they have to go get their kingdom. So he said, we're going to go by a river. None of you drink from it, except someone that's going to only drink a handful. That's it. Other than that, don't drink any more from it. They went past that. And right away, like I said, if you're not working on your faith throughout this whole time, any excuse is enough to disobey. I mean, this is not something small. They're not going to an interview. They're going to the midst of a battlefield, and there's river here, and they're like, you know what? We may not drink any more water after today. I may get there, I may be thirsty. Whatever way you want, you can justify. Not looking at the command, you just justify the reason for your disobedience. And that's what they did. Majority of them, in some opinions even like 70,000 of them, stayed at the river, said, no, we're going to drink from it. And they drank to such an extent that they couldn't go on after. Now this also leads to them not just drinking from the river and saying, oh, okay, that's it, I can't go anymore. Their Talut said to them that if anybody, the only person that's going to go with me is the one that's going to drink handful. But he didn't reject them. They themselves could not continue afterwards. They just could not quench their thirst, and they kept drinking and drinking to the point where they couldn't go anymore. They couldn't move anymore. It's almost, you can actually become have a type of drunkenness from drinking too much water. And they were stuck there. And only a few left after that. And after that, even then some people said, you know what? All these people passed the river, those that stayed back. Some people still said, you know what? This is pretty crazy. In that army there's Jalut. And I don't think we have the ability to go against Jalut. He was a known warrior, a known giant compared to everybody else. And even amongst them, some people started to go away and said, you know what, I don't think this is just suicide. And they justified the reason to stay away from it as well. There's a few that said, listen, there are many armies that defeated much larger armies with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they were patient. And even then, when they went across, those people that still are there, they're in front of Jalut, they're still there to say, Ya Allah, please make our firm feet. We don't want to run away. Keep our hearts strong and help us. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave those guys victory. Now this is looking at a story from a battlefield in Bani Israel a long time ago. We have to bring it down to our level, to today's society, so we can sort of understand. That victory is obviously for them to gain their kingdom, but for us it could be whatever destination we want. We can have small victories to have small goals, and we can have large victories, which is larger goals that take much longer to fulfill. If, for example, starting at the bare minimum, I need to pray 5 times a day. That's my goal. If I'm not praying 5 times a day on time, then let's make that our goal. And then going back to see how the people failed. How the people failed and trying to avoid those situations. The first thing that they did is started making claims. This is something we want to avoid anytime we want to bring a certain type of amal into our life. They say, how are we going to run away when we've been kicked out and our kids have been kicked out? We'll never run away. This is when we decide to do something righteous, it should be between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, my goal from now on, please give me the divine aid. I want to pray 5 times a day, on time, every day for the rest of my life. This is my goal. Ya Allah, you're the only one that can help me. This is between me and you. I'm taking this upon myself. This has so many benefits when we keep our amal hidden and our goals hidden. One, we never lose face in front of the people. Because if we lose face in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. I mean, even now we're still alive, even though we've fallen short so many times. We haven't been punished yet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still gives us more time. So with a simple astaghfirullah, we regain face before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's as simple as that. With society, with the people around us, if we lose face in front of them, it's very hard to gain that confidence back from them, to gain that support back from them. Look, the person said he was going to do it, he couldn't even do that. I saw him. Look, this person made this claim, and he just goes and it turns to rumors and it turns to slander, and everyone just messes with us. And then we say, you know what? I'm trying. I tried my best, and these guys won't let me. I'm never going to the masjid again. I'm never talking to that person again. I'm never doing this again. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then we get further and further. And the Prophet ﷺ says, beware being that sheep that goes away from the herd, because that wolf can grab it very easily. The wolf being shaitan. And it's not that those brothers around us or sisters around us are bad, but this is shaitan whispering into everyone's ears to make us that lone sheep for him to get. But if we keep it between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, It's sometimes very hard because sometimes you just want to let it know. I've been doing it for a week. I want to let someone know. You got to post it. You got to say something. But just keep it between you and Allah. That's it. You'll never lose faith. 20 years from now, you can miss Fajr. Maybe you're on a camping trip and you miss Fajr and everybody will get at you. But if you keep it to yourself, those tears will come out, but only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one else will see you. The Sahaba, the only reason we know of their amal, of their secret amal, is because the Prophet ﷺ gave glad tidings to some individual and other Sahabas went to find out why he got a glad tidings. It's because Abu Bakr who passed away, and then a whole bunch of people around the community said, hey, how come I'm not receiving help anymore? I was receiving help, all of a sudden I stopped receiving help. Whether it was a blind person, a poor person, a whole bunch of people came out saying, where's my help? I was receiving so much help. Not realizing that Abu Bakr just passed away and he was their help. There's a lot of wisdom in having that private life, but a lot of times what we do is shaitan, he tricks us. He makes the private life the disobedient life. And our public life becomes this way to sort of justify and say, you know what, I'm not that bad of a guy. So we got to tell people, oh, I'm doing this. Hey, look, you guys, my new goal, I want to do this. And we make New Year's resolutions in front of everyone. But in our private, we're not really trying. We need to flip those two. And not the disobedience part, not to become an open fasiq and disobey in front of Allah. But trying to make our private life that obedient life, then that will only beautify our public life even further. How hard is it sometimes to keep ourselves to have a certain character in front of certain people, certain individuals? But if that character becomes a private, normal character, then publicly it's very easy. The second is, like we said, they got into emotions involved. Never ever let your emotions get the best of you. Those emotions, our faith should be strong enough to control those emotions at all times. Whether it's me with my kids, me with my spouse, me with community members, whoever it is, co-worker, our emotions should never get the best of us. And especially when it comes to between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we want to have that patience, the Prophet ﷺ said that patience is in that first instant. Not when something happens and then we curse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we curse time, or we just curse random curse words and say, oh, you know what, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't be like that. Yes, we can do that in the beginning when we're trying to change, but that should not be our goal. Our goal is that subhanallah should come out, alhamdulillah should come out, astaghfirullah should come out, instead of words that are obscene. Now, when it comes to actually getting on that path, those are to set the conditions before we get on that path. When we make those goals and we start to strive on it, start with little steps. As simple and as minute as those steps may sound or look, they're very important. What's one handful of water for that army? That somebody said, you know what, I'll drink just one more. And that was the cause of their destruction. That was the cause of them losing their dunya and their akhirah, just because they said, you know what, one more handful isn't going to hurt. I know he said one handful, but I'll just take one more. Give it that value. Give whatever your goal is, every step that value. How many times, I mean, I'm sure everybody's falling into this, I'm falling into it. We're using health as an example, where we say, you know what, I'm going to do this, whether it's getting good at basketball, getting good at my physique, good soccer, whatever it is. We go on it, we go 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then at one time we break our regular schedule. And then we trip and fall and we lose it completely. And we have to start all over again. Days, weeks, months even pass by until we go back to our normal schedule that allows us to fulfill our goal. So look at that what I'm saying. Every time, if we make a goal, let's again keep it with salat and say, you know, Fajr is at 5:30. Let's say we're just praying it at home. And I set my alarm at 5:15. Make your goal. Are you going to wake up at 5:15 or are you going to hit the snooze 10 times and wake up at 6? If you say 5:15, wake up at 5:15, then it'll come one time, 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months later, where you're just extra tired and that 5:15 doesn't seem that nice to wake up at. Wake up at 5:15 at that time. That's the time that's going to establish your consistency in that amal. If you let it go, the next day will be easier to let go, it will be easier to let go, and then you're going to fall off again, and then you have to redo that goal and start over. And finally, the last thing that I'm going to say, just for the sake of time, is even after we've achieved everything. I mean, if you look at this group, they passed the first test. They actually accepted the king. They went past the test. They're standing in front of Jalut. The goal is right there. They can see the finish line. They don't stop making dua. It is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that can allow us to get to the finish line and finish that goal. So we have to constantly be in dua. From the beginning, say, oh Allah, help me. I'm getting on this path. This is my goal. Help me on this path. Give me tawfiq, that divine aid. And throughout the whole time while we're in it, constantly make dua that, oh Allah, only through you am I going to reach that goal. We do this in one aspect of our life, in salah, then we do it in Quran, then we do it in our akhlaq. And we can all do this simultaneously. We're not do it all at once that it overburden us, but we start doing it and it starts to just come and be a part of our life. As we do that throughout our life, then we start achieving that goal. Then we can say, I woke up as a true believer. This doesn't mean that we won't have any faults. We will, but we're on a path now. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for all of us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for all of our shortcomings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. أما بعد، قال تبارك وتعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم اشرح صدورنا للإسلام اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسق والقول والعصيان اللهم اجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم اجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم اغفر موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم اغفر موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم اغفر عمر القادر يا رحمن يا رحيم اللهم اغفر أخانا أشرف أحمد خان يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم اللهم اغفر لهما ذنوبهما وكفر عنهما سيئاتهما وادخلهما الجنة الفردوس برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم ارحمهما في القبر وارحمهما يوم الحشر وادخلهما الجنة بالسلام يا رحمن يا رحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة